but the remainder of the houses that are here were built over 100 years ago. And the population hasn't changed either. You know, using, not this house is not a good example, but like the house that's here across the way, that house was built for one family. But back in the day, whole families lived together, so multi-generations lived together. So you might have 6 to 8 people living in that house, and now it's unfortunately cut up into apartments where 6 to 8 people are living in it. So the population of the house hasn't changed, the use has, so it has not changed the use of the village.
That's interesting. I was just wondering how that changes the use of your neighbours sitting using their porch. Do your neighbours use their porch if they're like multi-occupancy in one property?
You know, occasionally they do. If like we have a parade and they sit on the porch for the parade, but in general, you know, I don't see them sitting on the porch, hanging out. And I think that is something that's lost that you're going to talk about.
Well, it's interesting whether this in Salem, last year I thought nobody was on their porches, and this year they seem to. I'm finding the right time to go out and find people on the porches, which seems to be just after dinner at 7 o'clock, between 6:30 and 7 o'clock. Or, you know, it's really interesting. And everyone I'm talking to in Salem, particularly at this time in the project, absolutely, you know, adore their porches on that space, and they talk about, you know, their grandmother's relationship with the porch, and you know, changing into a better dress to sit on the porch.
Oh, yeah.
And all of that, and the fascinating elements of stories that all come in. And the, you know, those porch pieces are as much the conversation as the physical bits that people are donating.
Well, we inherited the porch, so, you know, we didn't, you know, prior to this, and I can actually walk you down to the house that we had, and it has amazing porches that are unique to anything, really. And then just beyond that is another house. They both have round porches. So as a business, you know, I set furniture out, I try and serve breakfast outside on the porch. If the weather is perfect, people will use it. If the weather's not perfect, they won't use it. But because we are here, the guests that we have are visiting friends and relatives, they're here for a purpose.
Yeah.
They don't really utilize the facility the way that it's displayed on television or in commercials with, you know, groups of people hanging out, eating and drinking, enjoying it. However, we come back tonight, it will be because the people that are staying here are here for the reunion. They chose us because they can have use of a facility to meet and greet and gather and talk and eat and drink. So this evening, you know, that will happen.
There'll be a porch party and lots of conversation.
Right. So tonight and then Saturday night, the same thing. Which is great, because that's, you know, we spend a lot of money to create this opportunity and this atmosphere, and we want people to use it. You know, I personally, I don't probably sit on my porch as much as I'd like to, because I am a business, and if I want separation, I can't sit out here. Because it's, you know...
Yeah, you need...
You know,
that's interesting in terms of the public-private space. For you to get your private, there's a distinction and a different sort of space that you require.
So, you know, it's interesting because, you know, if I sit out, somebody saying, oh, I need to talk to Christine, and then I'm doing something for somebody else when I just wanted to sit and enjoy my beverage and my book or whatever. But at the same time, that's also who I am. You know, I'm not, you know...
It's kind of part and parcel, isn't it? Comes with that territory. But, I was just interested, you said you were from Alaska.
Correct.
Do they have porches in Alaska?
I lived in a trailer! When I was a kid growing up, probably like born till I was maybe 7, we lived in a trailer. And the reason being is that in Alaska, when they discovered oil up there, there was this huge influx of people that came. And a lot of the ground is what's called permafrost, so it's permanently frozen. And if you thaw it, the ground then becomes a swamp. So it's not stable for construction. And or you have to cover it and let it melt, and then pull it out and backfill it or whatever. And so to take care of all the people that were coming in to build the Trans-Alaska Pipeline, you need to give them housing. So my grandfather and my uncle moved to Alaska. My father was in the Army, which is what brought us up there. My mother was pregnant with me had me, and then my father went off to either Korea or Vietnam, another war, and my mother's family moved up, and they sold mobile homes or trailers, and we weren't wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, so we lived in a trailer. And then my mother remarried, and we did build a big house, and it did not have a porch. It had a deck on the back, but not a porch.
Yeah, it's interesting what the definition of the porch. It needs to have a roof, and preferably with a pale blue ceiling underneath. This seems to be certainly in this area.
Yeah.
But no, it's interesting, and I just.
But you should ask somebody about the blue ceiling, because that is a bug deterrent.
I have heard extraordinary stories about the reason, and I think we stop there, but I'll tell you in a minute, because every little film I'm doing, it's on, so